Hello everybody, this is Tina from Rehatch Designs, and I had a few people requesting that I do a tutorial on my travel journal that I had to flip through on the other day, and I thought I'll go ahead and come on and do that. I'm going to just briefly show you what we're going to be making, and if you want to see the full flip through, it's in my playlist, so you can certainly go through and see that. I just had it out there a few days ago. Anyway, this is what I made. It was really quick. I did it basically, I'd say in about an hour. I had found some memorabilia and things from when we had just gone on a trip last August to England, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go ahead and make something quick that'll hold, just a few things. It will hold some pictures and memorabilia, and I think it's just the right size, because I think nowadays we do, have most of our pictures digital, but you can throw a few pictures in here, memorabilia, that type of thing, and it's great for a quick little journal. You could use this for other things too. I just did it because it had a lot of little pockets and things, and that way you could tuck all your stuff in. Anyway, let me show you how this is. We went to England, and I had bought a pack of postcards, and this is the Queen Victoria. This is just a postcard on this cover. It has an envelope for the cover. These are pages that are made out of just some map pages that are kind of thin, and they're sandwiched in between some heavy paper that I really don't want to use anymore. It has some flips in it to put your memorabilia in it. A few pockets. There's some writing area. Some more flips. It has pockets that are made out of postcards. Little envelopes attached. Another little flip, pockets. Again, and then the back page is a another envelope that can hold brochures. So anyway, that's what we're going to do, and if you want to see the full flip through, you can go, and like I said, it is listed below. Anyway, here we go. We're going to dive into this and see what we need to do this, okay? First of all, you're going to need some sort of hole punch. I mean, you can use just a regular old hole punch like this. You can, if you've got one of these, it's not necessary because you're not really going to go through anything really thick. But I do put an eyelet at the top where I dangle my, I call it my charm, but it's really what I do is I collect keychains when I go places, and I use that as kind of a dangle. I usually just get postcards and keychains. That's usually about the only souvenirs I get. Anyway, but I did put an eyelet on the top. You don't have to do that, but I did it just because this is kind of heavy and you don't want it pulling on that. Okay? So you need some sort of hole punch. I have this punch board, planner punch board that we are memory keepers that I used. You don't have to have this. Any kind of 3-hole punch will work, but this is what I used. Okay, let's see. So again, you would need, an eyelet of some sort to set in there. Put that aside so we can get those later. You will need, I don't want to move that. Hold that. This is a cute little gadget. I didn't ever think I'd really use this when I bought it, so I probably shouldn't have bought it, but I actually do use it more than I thought I would. So anyway, there we go. You'll need glue stick. You'll need some sort of stapler. It doesn't have to be the tiny one. Any kind of stapler will do. You will need something to kind of burnish your pages with. I used these 3 ring binders, and you can buy these at any office supply. You can use the larger ones if you want to. I don't know what size are the ones I use. Let me think here. I don't know. I guess these are about an inch, or maybe, oh, inch and a half. And then these are probably about 2. Yeah, and these are a little under 2. I use the smaller ones because for this journal I think it's plenty big, and I don't necessarily like how the big ones kind of flop around after you put them in there. So I don't know. I don't know. You can use which ones you want. Okay, you need a ruler. I have a centering ruler from Tim Holtz. I use this all the time. That's what I'm going to use. Anyway, you will need, let's see here. You will need 2 of these larger envelopes, and where's my paper here? That will be it's 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. So you need 2 of these. I got these off of Amazon. They're really sturdy. It's kind of a craft paper. I use these a lot to make things, just because I like the craft paper outline. You don't have to cover the whole thing. So 2 of those. You will need 3 of these, and those are, let's see, what did I decide those were? These are 5.5 by 5.5. Now you don't have to have this. If you have some that are a little bit smaller, they'll work too. Because we're going to have to cut this down, but that's what I used, and it's craft paper also, so it kind of matches. You will need, let's see, what did I decide on this? What I did is I used a thicker scrapbook paper that I didn't want, because you're not going to see this. I used a thicker scrapbook paper that I knew I would never probably use, and this was part of it, and it was a 12 by 12 piece, but you can use a smaller piece as long as it's at least 8 inches, because I had an 8 by 8 pad that I used for most of this, but this is a 12-inch pad that I wasn't using. So you're going to need, let's see, 6 of these. You're going to need 12 pieces that will show that you like, and I used lighter cardstock. You can use a heavier cardstock too, whatever you want to use. I have these pages now. These pages are going to show, and those pages, you need 12 of those, okay? And then you will need let's see, you will need a page for your cover and the back, and I use these. Now these, I'll go through the measurements with you, what you're going to need, but you'll need at least 2 pieces that you want to use on the cover, okay? You'll also need, I used postcards for mine. You can use pictures, or you could actually cover the pockets with pages if you wanted to. You're going to need 4 postcards that have a sideways orientation, or actually 3 with a sideways orientation like that. You'll need 1 that has an up and down orientation like that. So you're going to be, I'm putting that on the cover. Or you don't have to use that for your cover. You can use anything you want. And then you're going to need 6 that have an orientation that goes up and down to put on your little envelopes. So we're going to use these today. Whenever I go somewhere, I always get like one of those packs of postcards, or I may get different postcards, and this is just a different idea that you can use with that. You don't have, like I said, you could put pictures on this too if you wanted to. Let's see, you will need 1 legal size envelope, and that is for a little pocket that we're going to make. When you cut your 12 by 12 paper or whatever paper, you're going to have some little extra pieces. If you like how they look, I kept the pieces that were kind of neutral, and you use this to kind of line your envelope with. And I these were 8.5 by 4, and you need 2 pieces of that. You could certainly use the offshoots of the outside pieces too if you wanted to. And then, like I said, the envelopes are 5 3/4 by 8. Okay, so let me go through the list of what you need again. You're going to need, for your outside pages, you're going to need 6 of these, and then you're going to need 2 for your cover, whatever you decide you want your cover to be. Like, for instance, let me show you this. This would go kind of like on here. Actually, I'm going to have to cut that down a little bit because you don't want it to cover your holes. So this is actually going to have to be cut down a little bit. Anyway, you're going to need 2 pieces for your cover. And you're going to need 6 of your pieces that you're sandwiching. And let me show you what we're doing so you can kind of get an idea when you're looking through your stuff. Let me see if I can find one that's not sandwiched already. Let's see, those are already sandwiched. Here are the 2 that we're working on. I think they're down here. Okay, so what you're doing is you are taking your old papers, or any papers that you think you're not going to use, the thicker paper, and then you're going to take a piece that you will see, and that'll be on the outside on one side and then one on the other side. So you're going to be sandwiching these in between, and that will make it thick enough to use in a ring binding, because you really don't want to use thin cardstock in there because you're going to be flipping it. It needs to have some weight to it. You could, if you wanted to, and I did on another one I made, I put like 2 pieces of the thicker cardstock and then sandwiched the thinner ones on the outside and do it that way, and then mix it thicker. But 1 I think is okay. I think that would work. I mean, is enough. But it's up to you. I find whenever I buy paper pads, I usually find at least 1 or 2 pages, maybe 3 or 4 really, that I don't like. And that's a great use for those, or paper pads that you know you're not going to use that you bought and you want to get rid of. But the thicker ones to put in the middle is a good thing. But like I said, if it's not thick enough, you can certainly double it. But this is what I'm doing with that. So anyway, what you're going to need is you're going to need your 6 pieces. I'm sorry, 6 pieces for the middle, the thicker cardstock that you're not going to see. And those are 5.5 by 8. So you're going to need 6 of those. And then you're going to need 12 that you will see of your outside pages that are sandwiched on the outside. And those are going to be 5.5 by 8. Okay. So you want to cut those down and have them ready to go. Your envelopes, you will have 2 of those, and those are 5 3/4 by 8 3/4. Now, you could do this with other size envelopes. You could do this with other side paper. You could just make it accordingly. You know, you just want your inside pages to be smaller. You know, approximately, it could be a total of a 1/2 inch or whatever, but you want your inside pages to be small enough to fit inside whatever envelope you have. So you can adjust it accordingly from that. Okay, you're also going to need, if I can find them, some sort of envelope for the inside for the flips. And this envelope really, although it's the same width as our paper, we have to cut it down a little because we're going to have holes here and it won't flip in and out. So we will cut this. So you could use a smaller envelope that would probably be easier to find, and then you wouldn't have to cut as much. This is just what I already had that matched. So you could definitely use smaller ones if you want to. In any case, what you're going to do first, oh yeah, you're also going to need some sort of paper, and I'm going to take some of this and take it out to use for our little flip that we have in the inside to write in. And it could be just coffee dyed paper, it could just be some other notebook paper that you cut down, anything that you want to use. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's see here. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to punch our holes in our cover. And this is how I did it, is I take my centering ruler, and this is why I love it, and I will figure out where the center is. And basically what you're doing is you're wanting to end up on the same number on each side. So this is going to be, well, that's 4.5. So you're going to go, let me turn this way so I can see it. So you're going to go, here we go. So this is, we're going to go just a little under. If you look on this end, oops, I moved it. This is a little bit, you're going to go, this is 4 3/4, and this is 4 3/4. So you want this number, and you want it to end up on the same line here and the same line there, 4 3/4, 4 3/4. So that tells you that right where this 0 is, that's where your middle is. So you're going to mark that, okay? Now, if you don't have a 3-hole punch like I do, that just you can automatically put your holes in, then you're going to decide where you want your other 2 holes, and you're going to decide, let's say you want it on the 3 and the 3. The other thing is, if you don't have a 3-hole punch that's going to go out, equal distance, is you want to measure that. Let's say, for instance, you want that to be out at this is a 1/4 inch, so you would line that up, not just your hole, but you would make sure it was lined up with that and mark your holes accordingly. Like here, these are just generic, but you would want to do them right, like a line there and a line there, and then right at the 3, right at the 3, a line there. Okay, so that way they're even across this end right here. So what I would do then is you punch your holes on each the 3 of those with your hole punch. Let's see, just do it with this one, just a regular hole punch. So you're going to basically go, I can't see what I'm doing here. I haven't used one of these hole punches in a while, so okay. You want to go right where you intersect 1. Okay. 2. Get stuck. See, that's why. Oops, excuse me. That is. And 3. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to take your next envelope. Let me get it out. I've already punched this one, but I'll use it as an example. You're going to take your next envelope, and what you're going to do is you're going to just put that like that, and then you're going to mark 1, and I just do a circle so I know exactly where it's going to be. So then you can punch out your other 3 holes, and they'll line up with that. And you're going to basically do the same thing to your middle pages. You're going to, again, now it's not going to be the same as this. I mean, you could eyeball it and put it on there, and that would probably work. But if you want to be exact, you're going to line it up, find your middle. Now this is going to be smaller. So let's see here, 4 and 4. This is 8 inches, so it should be right on 4, 4 and 4. So we're right at the 4, right at the 4. We're going to line up this line right here. This is the bottom line, so we know we're, even all the way across. And we're going to go that way. We're going to go our 3 inches. We're going to do our 3 inches. And then I go across like this, go across like that. Where's my other hole? Like that. So then I have, right, you want to punch right in the X on all 3. And that's how you're going to punch your hole on that. And then what you'll do is you'll go ahead and you'll punch your 3 holes out, and then you will use that just like we did the other one, and you'll line up your middle pages like that. So for instance, you'll have your 3 holes like this, and you'll just go, here, I'm going to do this on the inside so I don't have to erase it. You'll just take them like that and do all of your pages just like that, so that you have where you're going to punch your holes. So your inside pages, you want to do it separate from these, because obviously, you know, if you did that this way, you could have it like that. So you want to make sure that these are centered and those are centered, and then they're gonna line up. Okay. So anyway, trying to remember which ones I already did. Okay. So I've already done that. So the first thing I did is I cut my 2 envelopes out. Punched my holes out on my outside ones. That's what I did first, okay? And then you're going to start doing the inside. So I'm going to put those aside because we're done with those. The inside, we're going to start sandwiching our pieces together, and we're going to have to do two different things here. Let me get all my pieces that we're going to do. Get that out of the way. What you're going to need to do is you're going to have to take, okay, that's our outside one. Okay. I did several light pages that, even though they have a pattern on it, you could still write on that. And then I did my map page, and this is just according to however you want to do it. You don't have to do the same thing, whatever paper you have. And again, this doesn't have to be a travel. It could be used for anything. So I have my map page here, and then I put a light one on the other side. I just tried to flip them through there that way. And then I would do, let me move that out of the way. Then I did another map page, and then another lighter one. And then this is my paper that I don't want, you know, that I'm thicker paper that I'm sandwiching in between. And then I've got that. And then you're going to need your envelope that you're going to cut. So you're going to need your 3 envelopes like this, and then you're going to need all your other papers like that. Okay, and this is what we're going to do to start out with. So basically, all you're going to do, let's put your cover aside, get that out of the way. Now, you do not have to punch your holes first. In fact, you only need to do that if your hole punch can't go through this thick of paper. If your hole punch will cut through the three thicknesses, then you can do that after. You can mark your holes and punch it later. And that's how I did it, because I'm using this and it'll easily punch through those 3. The only reason I showed you to punch them first is that if you're using just a hand hole punch like that, it may not go through all 3. If you have one of these, it will go through all 3. But if you just have a hand hole punch, it may not, you know, just a little one, it may not go through all 3. So you would do that first. Otherwise, I would advise just doing it after, because it's actually a lot easier. So that's how I would do it, and that's how we're going to do it here. But I wanted to show you an option if you don't have a hole punch that'll go through all 3. Okay, so what we're going to do to this is we're going to go ahead and start gluing our pages together. The one thing I do want to tell you here, let me take a sip of water real quick. And I say this through experiences. When you're doing these pages, remember your orientation. Like your writing is going this way. Your map, like here, see, that's upside down. I would have put that upside down. So when you're turning your page, your orientation is here and you're here. Because a couple times when I was doing my first one, I did, you know, one this way and one that way. And then when you put it in the book, this is upside down. So, you know, that's something you want to pay attention to. The one in the middle doesn't matter because you're not going to see it. It's in the middle of the sandwich. So anyway, get a good glue stick. And I think I said before, I really love this Scotch brand. I think I've used other glue sticks. This is now my favorite. I'm not saying a new favorite might not come along, but I've used a lot of different kinds. And I love this glue stick. I don't know. It is by far, to me, better than any other one I've used. So that's just what I think, and everyone's going to have their own opinion. Anyway, you want to make sure you get it good all over and on the sides. Now, I sew this around the edges, but you do not have to do that. If you do not sew it, I would make sure that you get all the way to the edge. Get all the way around the edges real good. And you may even want to use like a, you know, an art glitter glue or maybe tacky glue and put it around the edges, okay? The way I line these up is I start with this corner and then I go to the other corner and then I go all the way up. And that usually gets them in there pretty straight. If they are off a little bit, like if you look at this on this, there's a tiny bit on top, don't worry about it. We can shave that off later, and it really isn't going to matter in the end because you won't see it. Okay, we got the one piece on there. You want to make sure, here we go again. Sorry about that. That's my little shield to try and keep the glare out. Let me put this up higher, then maybe it won't do that so much. Here we go. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that you get the edges really good. Go down the middle, make sure you don't have any bubbles. Okay, again, check your orientation. See, I keep wanting to put stuff in upside down, so I did do that on the other one quite a bit. So, again, this glue stick tends, I think, to be a little bit wetter than some of the others. It's definitely a lot stickier. I think that's why I like it. It doesn't dry really quick, so, but it's super sticky. So I really like, I just like it a lot. So, I mean, honestly, I normally, when I used a glue stick, would have to go around the edges and put some other glue, but this glue is so good, I just don't even think I'm going to have to do that. Like I said, I am going to sew around mine. Check the orientation again. So you're going to take this, again, start with one corner, go all the way across the edge. Okay. Keep it straight all the way down, and that should give you, you know, a pretty straight. And the good thing about using the glue stick too is that if you do put it on crooked, you can take it off and reposition it. Again, make sure you go down the edges, go in the middle. Okay, so here's a tiny little sliver here, a tiny little sliver here. If you want to, you can take out your cutter. Although, when we ink this up, you're really not going to be able to see any of that. And you can take that little sliver off, because these, good thing about this journal is that the 3-ring, it's kind of not like the sewn in signature where you can tell whether it's off a tiny bit or not. This kind of gives you a little bit of room. Cut off this teeny tiny little sliver. Okay, then you're going to do that 3 times, where you have your pieces where you have, all you've done is you've just sandwiched the one piece in the middle and the 2 on the end that are going to show. Okay, so you're going to have your thicker cardstock in the middle, the 2 on the end, and you're going to do that 3 times, so you end up with 3 pieces just like this. Okay, so that's what you're going to start out with. Okay, then you're going to take, and you should have 3 more pieces that are you should have, let's see, 6 more thinner pieces and 3 more thicker pieces left. Okay, after that. So then what we're going to do, let me move that over. I'm going to get everybody confused here. All right, then what you're going to do, let me move this out of the way. Oops. Move that out of the way. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're going to have your 6 pieces of your thinner paper left, right? And you're going to have your 3 pieces of your thicker paper. So you'll have 6 of the thinner, 3 of these, and then you should have 3 envelopes that you're going to use for your flips, okay? Now your flip envelopes, let's see, they have to be, these are 5.5 by 5.5, but even though they fit perfectly across here, right, because we're going to have holes over here, we have to cut some of this off, or otherwise they won't flip. So on this, we're going to cut this to 4 3/4. Now we're going to cut the side, this side. The flip, this top part, we're going to put in, sandwich in between, okay? This part is what we're going to cut. So definitely do not cut this part, cut this part, okay? Now if you have a smaller envelope that is not this wide, you won't even have to cut it, okay, to fit, but you will have to cut the end. You will have to cut, let's say for instance your envelope is right here. You want to cut a sliver, just a sliver off the end. But on these, because they're too big, we're going to go ahead and cut this down, and we're going to go ahead and cut it to 4 3/4. I got the wrong end there. Okay. So I'm going to go up to 4 3/4. That's 4 3/4. I'm measuring the end of this part right here. That's 4 3/4. And so I'm going to cut off the end. So I've cut off this little piece. And I'm going to do that 3 times to all 3 of these little envelopes, okay? And so we're going to have this end. And like I said, if you had a smaller envelope, all you have to do is just cut off a sliver to open it up. You don't have to cut that much off. But based on these envelopes, you would have to do that, okay? So then we're going to take our pieces, and we're going to do this times 3. And we've got our piece to go in the middle, our piece to go on the outside, and another piece to go on the other side, okay? So we're going to start gluing. Now, on these flips that I did it to where one was lined up to the top right here. Then I had one that I took, and I would, here, let me just show you on this page so you don't get confused. Then I had one that I put that was lined up on the bottom like that, okay? And then you can put one in the middle. And I did that just to kind of vary it up a little. And plus you don't want all the bulk in one side. But so I had one up here that I glued like that. Then I did one on the bottom that was even toward the bottom. And then I did one that I did it kind of in the middle, okay? So I've already done one that's on the top and the bottom. So this is lined up with the top. This one's lined up with the bottom. So now we're going to do the one in the middle, okay? So let me just do that real quick. So this is basically the same as you do the other one, except the first thing you're going to do after you've cut your envelope, the slit, remember, you just have to have it so, because you're going to have holes on the side, you want to, let me show you on this one that's already cut. Hold on. You want to make sure that you're cutting it enough to where it can go in and out. And if you have a smaller envelope, then what you can do is you can just, you know, put a slit there. You just has to have enough room to where it's not going to hit those holes. That's it. Okay. So we're going to take this, and you're going to take this little flap and glue, put a lot of glue on it. Make sure you get the ends, okay? Now what you take your thicker middle piece of paper, and we're having our flaps, they're going to go like this, okay? That's how they're going to open up. So this one's going to go in the middle. And when you, let me get this out of the way real quick so you can see this. You want to make sure when you're lining this up, okay, that you leave a tiny little slit right toward the ends where it folds. Because if you do your paper too close and cover that, you won't be able to maneuver this envelope to open and close. So you want to just put it, this is going to go in the middle. I'm just eyeballing it. And you see how I've left enough room where that little tiny sliver's there. You want to do it straight, and you put that in. Okay? Make sure you get it all put in there good, because then it'll leave bubbles if you don't. Okay? Alright, so that's our piece that we put in there. Now remember, we're having it open like this. So the opening is on this side. So we want to put our orientation of our paper, make sure it's right. So we're going to put that there. And then all we do after that is we just sandwich our paper just like we did the other one. And always make sure when you're doing your gluing that you get glue in the middle. If you don't, what'll happen is you'll have bubbles, and you know, that's what you're trying to avoid when you're sandwiching these in there. And that's one of the reasons you could use a wet glue on this if you wanted to, but I think it tends to bubble more. And if you have a good glue stick, I think that's actually works better for a project like this. So again, we're going to go ahead and get that corner and line it up. Get the other corner, go down, and that gets it on there pretty straight. Let's see. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So we have a tiny little edge there because we're not going to cut everything perfect, but that's okay because we can still cut it off, okay? But I don't mess with that until I'm done putting all the pieces together. The important thing too when you're doing this is that you are leaving your same slit that you had when you put the little paper on there. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to fold this in and out, okay? And actually, I think this could move over a little bit. Let me move it just a tiny bit. I don't know. See, I actually put it too close there, so I'm going to cut that just a tiny bit. It's a little cattywampus. Do this like this, be easier. I think I probably put that on a little bit crooked. You won't even see that because when we put this together, we ink that up, so you won't even see that. So don't worry about everything being perfect on there. Like I said, after you ink it up, you'll never You'll never even see that. But that's important. You just want it to be able to flip in and out easily and not get stuck on there. So, and see our glue's coming off right there because I opened it up. Put that in there. Now, like I said, I will sew all the way around, and even with this envelope in here, this fits in my sewing machine to where I can go all the way around it. I would imagine that it would probably do that on other people's too, but anyway, I do sew the edges, but you don't have to. If you aren't going to sew the edges, make sure that you get glue all the way around, and that's where you may want to use your wet glue. So okay. See, and now I'm going to pay attention. I told you, see that line right there? You want to make sure you leave a tiny little gap. Get your edges on there, and that way you don't have to do what I did on the other one and cut it out. But like, it's good when I make mistakes because then people can see that they're easy to fix. Okay. This is my marks that I made on here, so I probably should have done it on the other side, which would have been smarter, but I'm going to erase those. Okay, so you are going to make 3 of them like this. And like I said, I put them 1, 2, 3. It ended up like that, okay? So I had 1 on top, 1 in the middle, and 1 on the end, just like that, okay? 1, 2, 3. All right, and then you should have 3 that don't have envelopes that you've sandwiched in between. Okay, after I did all that, like I said, you could have punched your holes earlier if you have a hole punch that can't go through all 3. It's up to you. I go in and I trim off anything that I think needs to be trimmed. Like there's a tiny little sliver on the top of this. Okay. Maybe I must have really put this one on crooked. That's all I gotta say. But when you're going fast, okay, but that's okay because it's very fixable, and you will never know when you're done. You'll never see it. So you would go through and fix that. Okay, let's see. 1, 2. Trying to think where all my pages are here. I've got 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So after you've done all that, if you haven't already punched your holes, you can go ahead and do that. Let's see, I gotta mark the middle. And I only measure 1 time. After that, I just use my pages that I've already used to kind of mark where the middle is. Like, see right here. So on this punch, I just put the middle one in there, line it up with the middle, and there's a little line there. And I put that in. You see, I got it in there. That's my hole. So I'm lining that up and punching my hole. And this will go through pretty thick paper, so I didn't have to do my holes ahead of time. But that, like I said, that's up to you and your hole punch and whatever you're going to do. Okay, this one needs to be done still. So I would take that, make my little mark so I know where the middle is. Gonna take that, line it up with this little line. And you would do that to whatever 3-hole punch you have. Punch, oops, you could just go ahead and, you know, mark it. You know, you could mark all 3 of your holes. Just like that. Mark all 3 of your holes. you know, 1, 2, 3, and then use your hole punch there too, if your hole punch will go through all 3. Like I said, I did it in the beginning with that other hole punch just because some people's hole punches may not go through all three pieces. So anyway, now what we're going to do, you should end up, when you do all that, you should end up with 3 pieces that have front and back, you know, that are sandwiched in like that. 3 plain pieces like that. And then you should end up with 3 plain pieces, or pieces that have an envelope that's attached to it. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you'll have 3 like that, and then you'll have 3 like that. So that's what we're going to start with. And you'll have, by this time, then you already have your 2 covers. Your front, this will be your front, and then this is your back, and then those are there. Okay. Okay. Let's see. And hopefully too, when you did these, that you lined up your holes to go inside. Like my 3-hole punch automatically did that, but you want to make sure that your holes on here are centered. So, and you know, like an instance, you didn't want to do like your cover were a hole here and a hole here, and it didn't line up with these. That's what I'm trying to say. That's important. But anyway, so that's eventually going to end up, this is what's going to be like. That's pretty much it, okay? Now, I just added a couple extra things to this, and we can do that after or before, and you don't have to do that. But the way it's going to work pretty much, and I'm going to go ahead and put this together and do it that way. You could do it apart or you can put it together, but I think if I put it together, then people will kind of get the drift of what I'm doing better. Like I said, this is really quick and easy. I'm having to stop and explain everything. If you did them at home, I mean, I'm sure once you did one, you could just do several and, you know, roll them out however, you know, quickly you want to do it. Okay, the way I did it is I alternated between the ones with the envelopes and the ones not. And it can be in any order that you want to. I think, let me think what I did. Have to look and see. I don't remember. I did that one have a flip on it? It did. Okay, so I did. And you know, they don't have to be in any kind of order as far as the top and the bottom or whatever. I mean, that just really is, that's just whatever preference you have. Again, make sure you pay attention to your orientation, because see, I could put this in there and it'd be upside down. And you're wanting your openings on this end. Although they could go either way, it wouldn't make any difference. In fact, I think one of them I did change, but okay, so that's my back page, okay? And it has a flip on it. And then I'm going to take another one and I'm going to put it in there that doesn't have an envelope on it. I mean, you could do it where you have a flip on every one if you wanted to, if you wanted more spots. I mean, that's totally up to you. Okay, so we started with the bottom one, so I'm going to go with the middle. I'm going to put another one with a little flip. Just like that. Then I'm going to do one without. Again, paying attention to your orientation. I keep wanting to put these things in upside down. Okay, there we go. Then we've got one that has a flip, and this is the one that's on top, right? And then we're going to have one that doesn't have one, because we were alternating, right? And then we have our cover. This is our cover that we haven't decorated yet. Okay. Just close those. Now, another thing that I did that you may or may not want to do, I just thought of it as I'm doing this. You can do this later. I'm not going to go through showing you how to do this because I bet you can figure it out. Is I put reinforcers on there. I like the way they look, and I also think that, you know, it helps keep the pages from tearing or whatever. And I also like the way they look. These are ones I got from the dollar store, and I just took my Distress ink and went over the white ones, and then it made it this kind of color. So I think you can buy them like this color too, but I don't know. I never have. I always do that. I put it through my glue stick because it's kind of like washi tape. It doesn't stay stuck very well if you don't. So, but anyway, you could do that. Let's see, do them on the inside. I like the way it looks, and I think it does serve a purpose too. Because especially if you're going to use this craft paper for your cover, for your covers, it kind of, I don't know, I think it makes it kind of coordinate. It just so happens that the vintage photo kind of turns that same color when you do it like that. So anyway, but the glue stick helps keep these down because the glue on them are not that good. Maybe if you get a better brand, they might stick better. But anyway, I would do that on all my pages. The other thing that I would do on all my pages before I put my album together, you can always go back and do it, is I would ink them. I would, you know, like I said, remember when I took off the slivers, I would do that. Then I would go and I would ink them all. Now I am going to sew around all these edges. That's what I did on my other ones. Let me show you how I did that. Here, if you look, I sewed all the way around, okay? And I will be doing that, but I'm not going to do it now, so I'm just going to show you. You're just going to go and ink around it. And you can do this before or after you do the hole punch or whatever. It's up to you. And that's one thing that I was telling you is, you know, unless you cut off your little tiny slivers or not, what this does is it will, it'll kind of hide the fact that they're off a little bit too. Okay, so that you can do, keep wanting to put upside down. And then, I don't remember, just sew the one that has like the envelope attached. You can ink that. Just put your envelope down like that. You see there's a little sliver there. Once you ink it up, you'll never even see it. That's why this is easy. And this, I think that's one of the reasons people ink, not just for the way it looks, is it kind of helps hide imperfections. Do that all the way around. I'm doing a real sloppy job because I'm trying to do it fast. But see how you have a little bit of a difference right there? You put that on there, and that helps hide it. You can go all, now here, this is where you have your envelope attached. I just got caught on something. And you can just go like that, okay? And you could, and actually you could probably be best probably to ink this envelope before you attach it. But if you do it after, it's not that hard. It's very easy. And like I said, I had no problem sewing around this after I attached the envelope. So it's up to you what you want to do. It's not necessary. I just did it for texture and the way it looks, but it's definitely not necessary to hold it together. Okay, so basically you go and you'd ink around all of them. If you want to ink, you don't have to. That's not, again, not something you have to do. So I'm not going to sit here and do all that because I think y'all know how to do that. But anyway, that's what you would do. Okay. And then what I did is I went in and I took, where's my legal envelope here? I took these are offshoots that are 8.5 inches by 4, because on the cover I didn't want to have to worry about this flap. So I took my glue stick, and of course you can take that off of there to work on it, but it's not necessary. I just took my glue stick and I just took some glue and took my cover, or took this little lip of the envelope, and I just tucked it in because I don't need it. Okay, get it in there. Well, easier said than done. Let me get that in there. Okay, so I tucked that in. Make sure you don't glue it shut because you want that open. Now you can leave this just like that. You can leave it totally just like that. You don't have to do anything else to it because you've got the craft paper in here. What I did is I took a couple of the pieces of the stiffer paper that I had in the middle, and because these are kind of neutral, I decided just to make my cover a little stiffer, I was going to put a piece inside here just to make it a little stiffer. Now that's totally optional to you too. You don't have to do that, or you can find it, maybe some of the pieces that you're putting on the outside you can put in there, but I decided I wanted my little stiffer paper in there. So anyway, I cut it to 8.5 by 4, 2 pieces, one for the front, one for the back. All right. Oh, I didn't see that wasn't in there. Like, you can take your envelope off to do it. That's probably easier, but this will work. And then you want to just get that in there, and then I left kind of a tiny little lip, little edge. Put that in there. Again, make sure your envelope is you're not gluing this shut. Okay. But what that did is that kind of reinforced it and made it a little stiffer. And when you put your other piece on top, your decorative piece, that also helps. So that makes your envelope a little less flimsy. Although those are pretty stiff. But anyway, so we're going to do that here. We forgot to do that first. Let's do that. Gonna get your... There we go. Hopefully I can get that in there this time and not have such a hard time with that. There we go. There we go. Alright, so that's in there. Now we're going to take this piece and just kind of shove it in there. Just kind of eyeball it, leave a little lip there. And it's kind of crooked. Yep, that looks pretty even. Okay, and then again, make sure you're not gluing this shut because you want it open. Okay. Then what you're going to do, again, keep checking your orientation of everything. This is right side up. We're going to put our cover pieces on. Now, on mine that I did, what I did is I stamped and then put my postcard for my cover on top of that. But I'm not going to go through the trouble of, you know, showing you to stamp on top because, you guys know how to stamp, okay? So I'm not going to do that on this. I'm just going to show you how to put the cover on. Now I had measured this the same size as I did for the inside pages, but actually they have to be a little bit smaller because you can't, I mean, you could punch holes in there and just line it up if you wanted to, but I'm just going to do it just over a little bit. So let's see, I've got a front and a back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this and I'm going to go off just a tiny bit. So what I'm going to probably do is I'll just use this. Kind of figure out where I want to cut it. And I just cut both of, I've got a cover piece and a back piece, and I'm going to cut them off at the same amount, shave off the same amount. Make sure they're lined up pretty much the same. Go in. All right, so now these should fit on top. All right, so had you wanted to stamp in the front, you would stamp, you know, on top of this. I don't know, maybe I should do a little bit more. No, I guess that'll work. That'll work. Okay. Now the other one that I did on my covers, I went ahead and did it all the way across and then punched holes. This one I'm not doing that. I'm putting it kind of over here without the holes. So either way is going to work. I guess it's just going to matter, you know, how you want it to look. So I just decided I like it better. I think I'm going to like it better without that, but that's up to you. One thing, whenever I'm making things, like I said, when I do journals, I usually do 2 of the same or similar. I wouldn't say same because I really couldn't make them the same if I wanted to. Just because when you go through the design process or whatever, to me, that's the hard part. And, you know, that's why I usually make 2 tags or 2 or 3, you know. But anyway, you always end up tweaking whatever you do because, see, like that's not straight. And I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not kind of, you know, I'm just trying to split the difference and get it on there. So anyway, now that is a little big on that. It's going right to the edge. You may not like it like that. You may want to go ahead and put it to where you have it framed, which I think I was going to do that. I don't know why I didn't do that. I'm going to pull that off and cut it again. Cut it a little bit more. See, that's what's great about the glue stick is you're not, all of this is sticking. I'm going to cut that about another 1/4 of an inch, I think. Okay. Stuck. Okay. Let's see. I'm doing this one different than the other one. But, like I said, you can do it either way. You can do it to where you punch the holes in or not. Okay, so I know where to cut that one. Put some glue stick on again. Make sure I get the edges good. Can use my glue paper there. Okay. All right. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Go down a little bit. Still not. It's definitely crooked, I can tell you that. Okay, that should be closer. All right, that's more what I wanted. I wanted it to frame around the outside. And then go back in. Make sure you get your corners in good. Now, sewing around this, if you did that, it would make this pocket smaller in here. So I wouldn't do that because, excuse me. I'm going to take a cup of coffee here. Because the great thing about these is that they're the perfect size for brochures, but if you sew around it, then that would make it kind of small. So I don't know whether I would do that. But anyway, that's part of our cover. What did I do with that other piece? We're going to do the, oh, well, that fell off. I'll fix it later. Just going to go kind of eyeball it. Then they're straight. There we go. Okay. so then we're going to go ahead and do our back. Again, pay attention to your orientation. You don't want to put it in there upside down. And I keep saying that because I did it several times, so it was pretty frustrating. Anyway, of course I was doing it, you know, like at 2 in the morning, and I should have been sleeping. Okay, so let's see, this is right side up, so we're going to go ahead and put the back on. Like I said, you can take this off and do it, and it'd probably be easier. That'd probably be the smarter way to do it, but I'm just kind of winging it. That's how I do a lot of stuff. And so, and there's your back, and it's on. Probably need to make sure, now, since you're not going to sew this, make sure you put enough glue to where it's not going to come up on your edges. Go. I don't know why I didn't do a very good job gluing this, did I? Okay. Anyway, so this is your front. Now, if you want to, I think I was going to put, this is my cover. I'm going to put that on there like that, okay? And I probably am going to, I'm not sure if I'm going to stamp on this one or not, but we'll see. This, because of this being kind of slippery, on all of my, on my postcards, I used my 3-in-1 glue. And it's not going to ripple because it is so thick. But that's something, you know, that's up to you, what kind of glue you want to use. But I did that just because I thought it would stay down better and stick better because it is kind of slippery. So I'm going to make sure, oh, I got glue on there. Make sure that's off of there. Okay. Get that extra glue off. And then again, you want to make sure you get your corners on good, which I did not do right here. For some reason that does not want to stick. Probably was curling up a little bit, so I'm going to hold that down for a second. Get that extra glue off. Got a little extra glue on there. I need to get it off of there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so there's your cover. And now we're going to work on our few little pockets that we're going to put in there. Excuse me, I didn't mean to do that. You can put this anywhere you want to. You can kind of look at it and decide, okay, do I want this in front? Basically what we're doing, go back through here, is we're going to put something like this, which is just a little pocket with an envelope, with our legal envelope, somewhere in here with something with our writing thing. And I'm going to do that on this one in front. So you're just going to take your legal, this envelope I got is the ones that look like kind of parchment paper, but they're not parchment paper. But anyway, I got these off of Amazon, but you could use any legal envelope and, you know, ink it up or coffee dye it or do whatever you want to do. So the first thing I do is I glue this shut, and you're only doing the flat part here. Do not glue inside here or here because you want to be able to use the inside of this, okay? Make sure it's not getting anywhere to where you won't have an opening, okay? So you're just doing this little outer edge. you're going to take this and you're going to cut this to slither on the top. Okay. Did I cut that straight? I don't know if I did. It just seems a little crooked. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, so then you're going to have the slither on top. Then you're going to take this and you're just going to fold it up. And I don't think there's any exact formula, but just fold it up enough to where you put it at the bottom of your page and you'll have room to tuck behind and in here and in front. So the way you're going to glue it is you're going to glue, get your bone folder and make sure you've got a nice crease in there. You're going to glue it to your page and you're just going to go here. And whenever I glue pockets and things, that's when I usually use my 3-in-1 or your fabric tack, because I think it's stronger. I think tacky glue does the same thing. It just stays wet longer. So, all right, so then you're just going to put that. I put it kind of lower on the page so that the stuff that's sticking out can have room. Like I put too much glue up there. Kind of get it straight. So that's going to go there. Get that in. So you just have glue here, here, and here. That's it. Then you're going to take this piece you're going to fold over, and you're just going to put glue right here and right there. So that's going to go like that. And we will cover this part in a little bit. So, and you can cover that with anything. I mean, you probably have leftover pieces, that you want to put in there, or you can do it however you want to do it. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, well, I'll go ahead and do that. So, and you can make that any size you want. You can make it bigger, fold it up higher, make it bigger, just however you think you want to do it. And then you'll have a little pocket right there. You'll have a pocket behind there and a pocket there. So you'll have a place to put something here. You'll have a place to put something behind here. And then you'll have a place to put something in front of that. So that gives you 1, 2, 3 pockets. Okay. I don't know why that little corner doesn't want to go down, but I'm going to do this again. I'll hold it for a second. All right, so that's done. That's one of them. On the other side of this is where I'm going to make my little writing portion that we did. And let me show you in this journal. Where did I put it? Remember, okay, like this right here. And this is just for extra writing, and it's optional. You can omit this if you want to, but this is what I did. I always buy these like at the dollar store. I just took some of these pages, and I don't remember how many I put in there. Maybe I'll just put like 5, and actually you can tear that, okay? And I just took these and I kind of cut a little slither. And you can put however many pages you want. And then I took my, wrong one, here we go. Then I took my corner puncher and I did kind of rounded that off so it kind of matched the rest of it. Round that off. Okay. Then I just took a sliver. Let me get some of my paper. What did I do with it? Okay. Hold on just a second. I don't know. I just took a sliver of my paper I think it was probably about 1 inch wide, because you're going to have leftover paper. Let me think. It's probably, yeah, it was about 1 inch, I think. Maybe a little bit more, I don't know. Let's say about 1.5 inches. Let's call it 1.5 inches. Make this other side. And then whatever your width is of the paper that you're using, and you could just use coffee dyed paper, or you could use just any leftover paper that you have. Okay, there we go. All right, and then you're just going to take that. Where's the piece I just cut? That's a little bit too big. Let me move that from here. Then you're going to just take that, get your stapler, fold that in half first, approximately in half, because you won't see the back, and put it on top. And that's, you don't have to have a tiny attacher. You can use any stapler you want. You can take another piece of paper and put it across the top if you don't like the staples. For me, I don't mind. I'm going to cut that to fit. So on this page, this is the opposite side of this. I'm just going to take some glue and I'm just going to attach that. And that gives me a nice place to have notes. Just let that stick for a minute. That gives us a nice little place where we have notes. This is where we're going to put a few things. You gotta really let that dry. Let that dry. Okay. Well, that's drying. We're gonna go ahead and start working on this. Okay, this is where you have to have an orientation where when you're looking at this picture, okay, you are looking right side, because this, if you do it this way, it's probably going to be, you're going to have to cut off part of you, and you could do it that way, but it wouldn't cover all of your envelope. Now, if you have a smaller envelope, that might work. It's going to really depend on the envelope that you have here. But if you put it this way, and you could do it that way, you'd be looking at your postcard sideways or your picture sideways. So this is what you want to do there, okay? And I went all the way back here, and you're going to have a gap right here. Now, if you want to cover that gap with some of your extra paper, for instance, like you could put that there, or let's just say you wanted to put, let me get some of this book page. You could take your book page, you could put book page down there, right? And then put this there. You could do that, and then it would be, you wouldn't have the brown showing. But I didn't, like I said, the rest of it has that. I think it kind of coordinates, so I wasn't really too concerned about that. So basically for this, you want to glue this on here, but not glue this part, because if you do put glue right here, then you will not have a pocket. You have to have a pocket, okay? So, okay, let me do, it's going everywhere. You're going to put glue basically from here to here. Do not glue here. And don't put so much glue that it leaks over there. Right? And then you're going to put glue right, just a bead of glue right here at the bottom. Okay? Then you're going to take your postcard or your picture, whatever you want to put. You're going to put it right there. But be careful not to go too close in for the same reasons on the like we did the other one, because what will happen is then you cannot close your flap. Right? Now, my postcards happen to fit this, and that's one reason why I like these envelopes. But if yours doesn't, you can trim it to the bottom, to the top or the bottom. And, you know, that's up to you what you want to do there. And that's going to be dependent upon what you put there. Your pictures may be bigger, whatever, but you have to trim them and have the orientation going that way. Now, you could leave the back of this just plain and use that to put pictures on later, which is not a bad idea, okay? I mean, I think that's, you know, probably another way to use this. That's probably more practical. Let me put more glue on there. And I think for this one I may do that, because that leaves you this whole section right here that you could put, you know, if this was a picture, you could put a picture right there and, you know, put that on there. So now on the example that I had, I put postcards on both sides. But I think that a good way to use this would possibly be to leave that side blank. And I think I'm going to do that for this one, okay? So you're going to go through on all of your... What picture did we put there before? You're going to go through on all of these envelopes and do the same thing. I'm guessing this is going to come out to about right here. You're not going to go in here. You're just going to go here, right? And then you're going to go a thin line right here, because that's your bottom. Then you're going to put your postcard, line it up to where you have just a little bit of sliver right there. Get the extra glue out. Right? So you just have a sliver right there so that you can fold it, okay? And like I said, you can put some on the other side if you want to, but I'm going to leave these open to put pictures in. And as I said, you can put decorative paper on here too if you want to. If you want to go through and put some decorative paper, you can take some more of your maps and put them on there. You know, whatever you think you want to do, and then use that and then put a picture on top. But anyway, I kind of like the brown paper, the craft paper look. Okay, so you're going to do that to all three. Do that to here. And this is your three flaps, okay? Make sure you leave your little crease. Get your excess glue off so it doesn't glue it all together. Make sure, and I always do this on whenever I do these, to make sure you don't have any glue in there, right? Because you didn't want to put any glue in the middle, and sometimes it'll seep through, so you want to make sure that there is no glue going in the middle, that this part is glued down. Okay, and you've done that 3 times. So you have 1, 2, make sure there's no glue in there, and 3. See, so you have an opening, it's closed here, closed here, closed here, and that's how you've made your little flaps, okay? So 1, 2, 3, and these are in different parts, so Now what I did when I did this is I did this one like that, and then you can put your decorative paper right here. I put the oyster card in front of mine as a decoration. I'll show you that just because it was like that. So I put the oyster card there just as my decoration, but you could put like decorative paper. You could take some of your memorabilia and glue it on there. You can do whatever you want to do, okay? But just realize you do have a pocket here, a pocket behind here, and a pocket in the middle, okay? Now, what I did too, and I should have done this beforehand, is I punched a little hole. A hole punch. I don't know if I can still do it. I think I can. I did that. Just kind of sort of in the middle. And that just kind of lets you know that there was a pocket back there. So you could do that, and you probably should do that before you glue it down. But anyway, it still worked after. Then we have that. We have our pocket. And what I did is like, okay, so here's my pocket there. This is my flip, excuse me. And then on the ones that didn't have any flip, then I would take my other postcards and put them in here. Now the thing with these is that you have to, I'm going to take it out. I glued it down first, okay? And you're making a pocket, so you're just going to do, let me do it upside, I do it upside down. You're just going to do the two sides and the bottom, okay? I did that a little high, but that'll still work. All right, again, pay attention to your orientation and line it up with the bottom, line it up with the sides. And again, I sewed around here, but you definitely don't have to do that. My sewing machine has no problems going through that, okay? Now, the problem that you're going to have when you do that is that you have got to put some hole punches in here because this has to fit in there, and it won't do it. But I went ahead and did that, and then what I did is I came back later and I just lined up my hole punch with the hole that was there, and then I would punch out some holes. So I did that. Stick that back in there. And then I also I did put the hole reinforcers on there too, but like I said, I'm not going to go through and show y'all how to do that because I think you can figure it out. All right. So anyway, that's what I did ×3 on any of the blank pages. I'll just do them real quick. It's super easy to do. Just take that. You're going to put your glue just on the sides and the bottom. Then you're going to line it up with the bottom. Some extra glue off. Get it on there nice and straight. And then you're going to punch your holes. All right. And you're going to put that in. Now these pockets too, you could put pictures on there and do it that way if you wanted to, because usually if you get pictures back, they're thick enough that you could do that. Let's see, I did one here. I did one here. And I think on one of them, I think this first one, I also had a flip and a picture. So one of them you're going to end up with both, and that's up to you. You don't have to do it that way. You could do it, definitely not do it that way. I mean, it would just, whatever it is that you think you want to do, you can design this any way you want to. That's the beauty of it. You can put more pockets, you can put less, you can put more. You can, like I said, you can put one of these flips on every one and it would be fine, because I really don't think it would be too bulky to do that. For my purposes, the 3 worked. I didn't really need more than that, but that's up to you. Okay. And my postcards are a little bit different in size, so some of them I have to punch 2 holes out, some of them I have to punch 1. The other thing too is make sure when you're doing this, again, that you're leaving, and this is not too close to the side here, so that you can do your flip, you know. So, you know, actually, I think I want to put this on the other side. Get that off. See if I can get the glue off. Okay, I think I'd rather put it on this side. I think that's what I did do on the other one too, is I put it on the opposite side. Put that glue on again. All right. Let's see if I have my little eraser. Is it not in there? Maybe it's not. I don't know what I did with it. Okay. Get the extra glue off. Okay. Line it up. Punch your hole. Okay, there we go. Get that extra glue off the edge of that. Yeah, see, that way I have one here when you open it up, and then one on the other side. Okay. So, anyway, that is pretty much it. There's not much more to the physical making of this, and the rest is all preference on decorating. The only other thing that I did is, I think there was another one down here. I think I did it on the opposite end, where I just took a little envelope, and I'm going to use this one. I think I used a plain one before, like this. Is I just took this little envelope, and I'll just use the plain one this time too. That way it'll be the same. I just took it and I just glued it to the bottom. And the only reason I don't put stuff in the middle, this gives you room that if you want to put a picture or you want to put notes or whatever, you could do that. And there we go. And then I took, I don't know what I did. I just took, I don't have one with me, but let me see where I went with that. I just took a little piece of the little round Velcro dots, because see, I had some change, some money from where I went, and I stuck it in there and Velcroed it. I got those at the dollar store, a sheet of them for $1. Anyway, you can do that. Any kind of little small envelope you want to put on there. And pretty much in a nutshell, that's it, folks. You've made your, I can get that glue off of there. I have to work on that a little bit. You've made it. That's it. There's really not much more to it. You've got your side pockets here. I left them blank. You could decorate those also. You could put more envelopes on there if you wanted to put more things. But the cool thing about it, like I was showing before, is that brochures fit perfectly in here. And if you're like me, when you go somewhere, I always pick up brochures. So they'll fit right in there. You can use this for writing. You can glue things down. This, like I said, you could decorate this with whatever papers that you have that you may want to put on there. And then you've got a pocket here. You've got one behind here. And you've got one that's behind there. And then let me just kind of show you. You've got one in front of that. Go like that here. This way you can see it. One there. You've got one there. And you've got one here. So you've got 1, 2, 3 there. You've got a flip. Right here you can put pictures, you can put stuff in here. Look at that. I mean, these things are really, you can fit a lot in there, okay? So you can put stuff in there, and you've got 3 of those. You've also got 3 sets of postcards that are also pockets. So 1, 2, and here's another flip. And like I said, you can put more in there. You can fill the whole thing up. I mean, it's up to you. This is just the basic structure of what I did. Again, you can put some more brochures in the back. You got plenty of room. And the way I did it too is I alternated. Some of these maps are very light and the writing's very light, so that you could write on top of there if you wanted to. Like right here. And of course you can decorate the front up more. The only other thing that I did, and this is totally optional, is I punched a hole in my cover right in the corner. I'll get that brochure out of there so I don't punch a hole through it. Right in the corner, in the top. Okay, so right here. Then I took my brad, or eyelet, excuse me. I keep calling it the wrong thing. I don't know why. For some reason that just doesn't want to stick with me. And then I just put that in. Like I said, if you don't have one of these, it's not optional. The only reason you want to do that is if you're going to have something on there heavy like that keychain, that you don't want it to tear your paper. So you probably want to try and put an eyelet in there if you can. And then, of course, I can't get this undone. You can just take your, oops, something just dropped. You can take your little closure, stick your, whatever your keychain thing is, 1 or 2, stick that in the corner, and voila, there you go. So that is pretty much the whole thing, and you have made yourself a nice little travel thing. You can, like I said, I had put more postcards on the back of all these, but I think I'm going to leave this blank for pictures to use it. But that's totally up to you, because I mean, you know, you can just kind of decide as you go or make them ahead and do it later. But anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more, just like and subscribe, and y'all have a great day.